Ciao, buongiorno. Benvenuti a una parola di speranza. That's Italian for hello, good morning. Welcome to a word of hope. I am Father Jim Marchionda, coming to you today from the mountains of Abruzzo, Italy, the first part of my sabbatical year, where I am spending 3 months in the city of Pacentro, 1,000-year-old village where my father was born over 100 years ago. I am in the chapel of San Marcello, a pope, and this chapel was built in the 11th century. I had the privilege of celebrating the Mass and preaching here last weekend. It's fitting that I use the chapel of a pope for today's preaching, since today the Church celebrates the memorial of Pope St. Pius X, a very significant pope in our history and in our own time. I'm going to focus on the Gospel of St. Matthew, both today and tomorrow, which comes from the 19th chapter of St. Matthew, because it challenges us to deal wisely with our possessions. Today starts with that very familiar story of the rich young man running up to Jesus and asking, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus says, "You know what you must do. You've heard the commandments." And then he goes on to list what you and I know as the 10 Commandments. He says, "You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and mother, and love your neighbor as yourself." And the young man says, "I've done all these things my entire life. What more should I do?" And at the end of today's gospel, Jesus says, "Well, then go sell what you have. Give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven." The end of the gospel says that the man walked away sad because he had so many possessions. My friends, this gospel is a challenge to all of us to make sure we use our possessions wisely and never let our possessions use us. To own our possessions wisely and never let our possessions own us. We have to have a certain separation from or disconnection to everything that we own as much as it serves us, so that we keep our right balance with what we have, our right balance with the things in our lives. There's a wonderful little story in the Canadian Missal by Benedictine Sister Macrina Whitaker. And she tells this story of a man that seems to have gone to a hermitage for somewhat of a retreat. And she goes to this hermitage that's known for this one hermit that has a very precious diamond in his possession. The hermit shows the diamond to the man, who's fascinated by it, and asks him if he wants it. The man is beyond delight. He takes the diamond and he runs back to his own hut with it. And then after a while, the man returns to the hermit. He gives it back to him and he says, "Give me instead whatever you had that made it easy for you to give this away. Give me instead whatever you have that made it easy for you to give this away." My friends, we all have so many things. We have many possessions. We are challenged by the gospel today to be generous, of course, to give much to the poor. But we are also challenged to make sure that we own our possessions and that they do not own us. God bless you.